Retraining. It all started about 6 months ago. I came home to find my wife in bed with another man. I was not happy, to say the least. I couldn't believe my eyes. There was the woman I loved, in bed with a man I did not know. I was so disgusted I left the house, not caring if she knew that I had been home at all. I drove for hours, thinking about where I went wrong and that it was all my fault. I finally went home to face her, but I chickened out as she greeted me at the door with a kiss and her loving smile. I should have done or said something, but I just let it go. I guess it was more trouble than it was worth to confront her, and I did not wish to lose her. I loved her with all my heart, and the thought of not being with her was enough to cloud the events I saw earlier. After a few days I thought maybe it was just a one-time fling and that maybe if I paid more attention to her that it would not happen again. A few months have passed and everything seemed to be doing good. We went out more and we made love almost every night. Then it happened again. I came home early from work to surprise her and take her out to a late lunch. I came in and heard the sounds of lovemaking from the bedroom. This time I took a stand and went into the room to confront her. I kicked open the door and just stood there not saying a word, to let the horror sink into her that she had been caught. I told the guy to get out and that if I ever saw him again he would wish he never met my wife at all. After he left, I left my wife in the bedroom without saying a word to her. She got dressed and came into the living room and she was crying. Like a small child that knew they were in deep trouble. She pleaded with me that he meant nothing to her and that it would never happen again. That is when I spoke up and told her that if it did she would be gone from my life. She cried some more and I thought to myself that she needed to be taught a lesson she would not soon forget. I said to her to lay across my lap. She asked why and I told her that I was gonna spank her. She started to cry some more but laid across my lap. I lifted her dress and pulled her panties down to her ankles. I paused for a moment to admire her wonderfully curved backside, and then I started to spank her. After 2 minutes of my hand crashing on her behind, it had turned to a rose color and she was crying even more, begging me to stop and that she would never do it again. I let her up and told her that the punishment was far from over. I had gotten an idea from the spanking and her childish behavior. I told her that I was going to the store and that when I returned that she should be wearing a small t-shirt and panties only. With that I left. Chapter 2. Now I do have my fetishes like all people do, and I went to the adult store to get the things I would need to begin my wife's retraining. My plan was to treat her like a baby for a month to teach her that I was in control and that what she was doing was not to be tolerated. I asked the woman behind the counter if this store had baby stuff in adult sizes. She said that they did and then asked if the things were for me. I laughed and said no, that they were for my wife and that I would need enough supplies and clothes to keep her as a baby for a month. As she was making me a list, she asked why. I replied that I had caught her cheating on me. She said, "Oh, so this is a punishment then?" I said yes. She smiled and led me to the back room to get me all the things that I would need. I was blown away at the selection and amount of things they had. She got me 3 big boxes and asked if price was a concern. I said no, this is to save my marriage and I was willing to do anything to save it. She began to fill the boxes and explain what and why I would need each item. In the first box she put in some restraints, saying that these would be useful if she put up a fight about the punishment, and she showed me some mittens saying that they lock on the wrists and they would keep her from cheating and trying to take the stuff off. I agreed and she smiled. Then she began to show me some baby-style clothing and I told her to make sure the clothing was a baby, as it could be rompers, sleepers, bodysuits and playsuits. In the second box she filled it with cloth and disposable diapers, all in baby-style prints. The third box was filled with rubber panties and rubber panties also in baby-style prints. She then asked how far I was willing to go with this. I asked what she meant and she then took me to another room and it was filled with baby-style furniture in much bigger sizes, cribs, playpens, changing tables and high chairs. I was in awe. I asked when could this stuff be ready. She said it could be delivered and set up by the end of the day. I said I would take one of each. After the total came up, I was not shocked to see that I had just spent a little over $1,000, still it was cheaper than a divorce and I would still be with the woman I loved. I gave her the address and then thanked her for all her help. She smiled and waved goodbye as I went home to begin the retraining of my wife. Chapter 3. I returned home and told my wife, soon to be my baby, to get dressed and that we were going out for a few hours. This would give the delivery people time to work. I left a note to them to set the stuff up in the spare bedroom and to just leave the stuff in the room in the garage. I took my wife out to eat and to see a movie. I figured a few hours of pleasure was the least I could do for her since for the next month or so she would be learning to behave when I am away. I stopped at the store to pick up some odds and ends for the month. Baby stuff like bottles, pacifiers, baby powder and lotion and some baby food. I got back to the car and started home. That is when I began to explain to her what I had in mind for her. I explained that the choice was simple, be a baby till I felt she was mature again or I would divorce her, and since I caught her cheating she would be left with nothing. She started to cry again and thought it over. After a few moments she agreed to do it. I told her that I loved her and that this was for her own good, and that seemed to help a little, but she was still crying. So I reached into one of the bags and stuck a pacifier in her mouth and said lovingly to stop crying. She stopped and began to suck on the pacifier. I then became quite horny at this point, and when we pulled into the driveway I thought that we would make love one last time before her punishment started. I led her to the bedroom and told her to take off her clothes. She did so slowly, not knowing what to expect. I told her to lay on the bed and I joined her. We made love for over an hour and it was getting close to bedtime, so I got dressed and she started to as well, and I told her to stop, that she would not need her clothes for a while. She seemed bewildered, so I explained that while we were out that the stuff I needed for her was delivered and set up already. Then she began to cry again, so I gave her a hug and took her hand to lead her to her new room. When she saw the crib and other things she started to cry even more, so I told her that if it did not stop she would get a spanking. I then helped her up onto the changing table and showed her the restraints and told her that I would use them if I had to. She said that it would not be necessary and that she would be a good girl for Daddy. I thought good. She is starting to get the idea. I opened the first box and took out the mittens and explained to her that she was no longer to do anything on her own till I said so. I then put them on her and locked them in place. I told her that with these on all she will be able to do is play with toys and hold her barber. I then got out a pair of pink sleepers with teddy bears on them and laid them on the side of the crib. I opened the second box and pulled out a disposable diaper and placed it under her. Then I started to powder her and explained that the toilets were now off limits to her, and that if she had to pee or make a BM that to use the diapers, that is what they are there for. I then pulled the diaper between her legs and taped it on snugly. I opened the third box and got a pair of pink rubber panties to match her pink sleepers. I got her legs in and pulled them up and made sure they were tucked in to protect the sleepers. I told her to sit up so I could get the sleeper on her. I put her legs in and then her arms, then zipped it up. I helped her off the table and gave her a love pat on her now very diapered behind, and she crinkled as she moved. I smiled and helped her into the crib. Daddy will be right back, baby. I have to get your barber ready. I made her a chocolate milk barber and slipped in some X-Lax to help her mess her diaper. I returned and told her to finish the bottle and that I would be back to check on her in 30 minutes. I came back and she was asleep and the bottle was empty. I smiled and gave her a kiss on the cheek and shut the light off. Then I went to bed. Tomorrow is gonna be a new day. Chapter 4. I woke up to go check on my new baby girl and she was still asleep. So I checked her diaper and sure enough she had messed, and to my surprise she was wet as well. I gently shook her to wake her, and it was then she realized that she needed to be changed and that it was not all just a dream. I let down the rail of the crib and helped her out and over to the table and started to change her. I cleaned her up and put a thick cloth diaper under her and pinned it on tightly. I went to the box of clothes and selected a very cute romper and matching rubber panties. Got the panties on her and dressed her. She then asked me if this would just be a weekend thing or what. I said, no, I took a month off of work so that I could be home to take care of my baby. A month? She cried. What will we do for money? I told her that I had 30 days of vacation and sick leave and that money will not be a problem. All she needed to be concerned about is being a good girl for Daddy. Only when she has proved that she can be a good girl, she will be allowed big girl privileges again. She started to cry again and I warned her about this. I took her over my knee and got a paddle out of the first box and told her that this will happen to bad little girls and gave her a sound spanking. After I was done, I gave her a big hug and a kiss, then told her that Daddy loved her. I led her to the kitchen and got her into the high chair, then gave her a pacifier telling her to keep this in her mouth at all times unless otherwise told. I heated up some oatmeal and a milk bottle. Then put a bib on her to feed her. She ate all the oatmeal without complaint and I moved the playpen out to the living room. I sat her in it and gave her the bottle and told her to play nice while Daddy cleans up. After about 30 minutes she called out my name and I told her that I would only answer to Daddy. She called out, Daddy, I have to go potty. I said to her, use the diaper, baby, that is what they are for. She then begged to use the bathroom and I told her that only big girls use the toilet. She finally let go and used the diaper. I walked over to her and stuck a finger in her diaper and said, that's Daddy's good girl. I will change you in a few minutes, sweetheart. Daddy is almost done with the dishes. I got done and took her to the nursery to get her ready for a trip back to the store that I got all the baby stuff from. I helped her on the table and began to explain what I had planned as I was changing her. I told her that I wished to show her off to the nice lady at the store that was so helpful to me. Baby was not happy and I told her that if she did not stop whining that I would give her something to cry about. She said, sorry Daddy. I then slipped a suppository into her and got a disposable diaper and taped it on her. Got her dressed and packed a diaper bag for her complete with a bottle and extra diapers, knowing that she would be needing a change soon. Chapter 5. I got her into the car and thought that while we were at the store I would get her a baby car seat. A 30-minute drive and we arrived at the place and I could see her fighting to keep from messing her diaper. I just smiled and told her to get out, that we were here. I led her into the store and the same lady was there and smiled when she saw Baby. She said, my what a cute little girl you have there. Baby then turned 6 shades of red as this was said. Then the smell of a freshly messed diaper filled the air. The lady said, I can see someone needs to be changed. Does Baby need to be changed? Baby just nodded, and the lady took us to the back room. The lady asked if I brought a diaper bag and I said yes. She then asked if I would mind if she changed Baby. I said sure, I need to go look for a car seat for Baby anyway. I looked at Baby and said, you be a good girl and let the nice lady change you, and if you behave we will go out for a surprise. The lady smiled and took Baby to the next room while I looked for a car seat for Baby. I picked one out, as they returned and the lady said that Baby was a perfect angel. I showed the lady the car seat I wanted and to my surprise she said that I could just have it since I have spent so much already. I thanked her and told Baby to thank the nice lady for changing her and giving her a new car seat. Baby said, thank you very much. The lady smiled and said, anytime sweetheart, be a good girl for Daddy. The lady took me aside and offered to babysit if needed. I thought about it and said sure, why not? I asked her if she was free tomorrow and she asked what time should she be there. I said around 1 p.m. And she said no problem and kissed my cheek. I thought wow. This is starting to be fun. I got the car seat buckled in and got Baby in it and gave her a bottle. I drove to the ice cream store and got Baby out of the car and got us both sundaes. I told her that if she swore to be a good girl, I would take off the mittens for now. She promised and I told her that I would keep them off if she behaved. Baby ate her ice cream and we got back to the car. I got her in the seat and realized that she was starting to enjoy this too. On the way back home I asked her if she liked being Daddy's little girl and she said yes Daddy I do. I then asked her if she would like to be Daddy's little girl for a long time. She smiled and said that it was up to Daddy. We got home in time for dinner. I made her some jars of baby food and told her that she could feed herself. She smiled and said thank you Daddy. Wow, I thought, maybe this is what she needed all along. Less than a day of being baby and she has taken to it as if she was still a 2-year-old girl. I gave baby a bath and got her ready for bed. I asked if she liked the lady at the store and she yes daddy. I then told her that if she went to bed like a good baby, that daddy would have a surprise for her tomorrow. She giggled as I got her diaper on and plastic panties. Then I got her sleeper on and helped her into the crib and gave her a kiss and a bottle saying, "Good night, angel, daddy loves you." Chapter 6. I awoke to crying. Her mum seems baby is up and needs to be changed. I went the nursery to change my baby and tell her of the surprise I had for her. I got her out of the crib and started to tell her that the lady from the store was coming over today to babysit. Baby started to smile and giggle. I got her a thick cloth diaper and went to the closet to pick out a cute outfit for the day. I chose a white party dress with pink ruffles and matching romper panties with pink ruffles and lace. I added 2 petticoats and pink tights to accent the dress and put it on her. I then had her do her hair in pigtails with pink ribbons. I stood back and looked at her. She was adorable with the petticoats fluffing up the dress and the way the pink accents made her look so cute. We then went to the kitchen to have breakfast. After that I got a phone call from the lady asking if we minded if she took pictures of baby for her website and magazine. She did. I asked baby and she said that she would love that. I had no objections, so I told her that would be fine with us. About an hour later Kate, that was her name, showed up with camera in hand and some other stuff. I asked her what was in the bag and she said clothes for you dear. I asked why and she said that she planned to diaper me and take some photos of me as well. At first I was not very receptive of this idea, but she explained that she needed some male baby pictures too and I would be paid for it as well as for the pictures of baby. I decided okay, just a few pictures. No problem, that was not what she had in mind. She started to say how cute baby looked and that I would be just as cute. She then asked where the mittens for baby were and I said I did not feel she needed them anymore. She said to put them on her just for the pictures. I went to the nursery to get them and she followed saying that I might as well get ready as well. I got on the table and she removed my clothing. Then for some reason she started to tie me to the table. I asked why and she said that it was for her protection and to help set the mood. After that was said I found myself strapped to the table and just then baby entered the room smiling. It was then I realized something was wrong. Baby and Kate smiled at each other and baby looked at me saying, "Looks like I will have a baby brother now, mommy." I stared at them and said, "Untie me now, this has gone far enough." Kate said that baby and her decided that baby needed a mommy, not a daddy. And a brother, not a husband. I was trapped. Kate started to get the mittens on me with baby's help. I started to yell. That was stopped with a ball gag that Kate brought with her. There is a small hole in the gag. Kate put a tube on the hole and led the tube to a bag filled with fluid. It was then she explained that she was gonna make me into baby's brother. Kate said there was a mind-altering drug in the fluid along with something to help me wet and mess myself. She said not to worry that the effects of the drugs would wear off in a few hours, but by that time I would enjoy being a baby. The fluid came into my mouth and I had no choice but to swallow. As I was taking in the fluid, Kate started to diaper me and get me ready for the photos. Kate also started to tell me that she gave the same drugs to baby yesterday when I was looking at the car seats. The bag was now empty and I started to feel the effects of the drugs. It was strange, I could still think but could not offer up any resistance to what was being done to me. Kate dressed me in a sailor romper and blue rubber pants. Then she went out of the room and wheeled in a crib that was identical to the one I got for baby. She released me from the table and led me into the crib and raised the rails. Then she got baby into her crib and started taking pictures. She then said it was time for lunch. I then realized I was wet. I asked Kate to change me and she said not to call her Kate anymore. She said if I wanted something that I had to call her mommy. I just sat there for a sec and asked mommy to change me. She helped me out and got me changed, then led us to the kitchen and there were now 2 high chairs. His friend brought it in while we were in the nursery. I could not believe this was happening to me. But at the same time I was enjoying this. After we were feed lunch, Mommy asked me if I was having fun being her baby boy. I said yes, and then she just laughed. Mommy said that there was only a drug to help me wet and mess in the bag and that I was enjoying this on my own. I was in shock, but I smiled and asked, "Does this mean you are gonna be our mommy?" She said, "Yes, Angel, I will be mommy to you both for as long as you want." I looked at baby and I smiled. "Forever, mommy." "Yes, baby, I can be your mommy forever." Final chapter. It's been 5 months since that day, and my wife and I have been diapered and cared for by mommy ever since. I have quit my job because, as mommy says, babies don't have jobs. Mommy owns that store I was at and has plenty of money. She moved in with us and either stays at home or has one of her employees babysit us. Baby and I are more in love now than ever before, and mommy lets us be adults when we are good at least 3 times a week. Life has changed in a big way for us, and it is for the better. Well, I better stop for now. It's bedtime and I need to be changed.